Hey guys, and welcome back to Divine Journey 2. So today we continue our automations. Last episode we started our Tower of Ingots here. I'm loving this thing. And we also reworked our cobble wall here. I don't really know why I'm calling it a cobble wall, it's just basically all the basic resources here. And we also got our thermal dusts and things like energized dark ingots. Between episodes I also added in this crusher to make us energized dark dust passively. This dark dust is mostly used in conduit binder. We also reworked our inscriber automation here to give us 6 different tiers of applied energistics processors. And we also added full automation to these resources you can see here. However, I logged in after our last episode and we are completely out of diamonds here. We have a little bit of diamond dust. And that was because I forgot the storage downgrade on one of these drawers. Same story with coal as well. We are using all of our coal, I think, in this metallurgic infuser for steel. And also over here in this magma crucible, this is consuming all of our coal that we have. It's actually a very similar story with iron ingots as well. So today I would like to address that. The goal for this episode is to be able to craft our dimensional transceiver to transport all of these ores back to the overworld. And then somewhere around here we're going to set up our ore processing, as we need some way to process all of the ores we're getting. So to craft the transceiver we need dark solarium ingots, among other things as well. We're going to come back to these other ones though. And rather than just crafting this once and then forgetting about it, we're going to actually take it slow and we're going to automate every single step in this process here. So the solarium ingots we have already automated last episode. Same with dark steel, which leaves these elevatium ingots. I'm sure you remember these things. So for these we need to automate the empowerer fully. We also need to automate emeradic, diamantine and glod. And I would like to automate all of the input items for these things. So this whole process is going to start with 2 more alloy smelters. And with these 2 alloy smelters, I've set them up for vibrant alloy and also energetic alloy ingots. And while we're here, there is another 4 ingots that we have to make. The first one is redstone alloy for empowered restonia. And to make redstone alloy, we need red alloy ingots, which come from this crafting recipe here with redstone and iron. So to set this up, I've added a smelter along with a formulaic assemblator. This thing is crafting the compound, where it's getting sent into the smelter and then into the drawer. And then the next step is to add an induction smelter above it to give us the redstone alloy ingots. And we've also added 2 more alloy smelters. One is for signalum. Oh man, these are slow. These definitely need some upgrades. And eventually the other one is going to give us lumium. Alright, so we've made the lumium, we've made the energetic alloy for these gears. We still have to set up the gear crafting itself, but another item we need a lot of is blaze rods. Which is why we now have a nether farm. And I built this at an intersection so that we could also get wither skeletons. This thing has been running, I don't know, about 20 minutes or so, and we're already up to 6 stacks of blaze rods here. I did put loot in 6 and also some sharpness on this mob masher. As you may have noticed, I also covered the cursed earth with string. And this is to prevent fires, as if it goes on fire, I believe that is what caused our cursed earth to disappear in our overworld farm. So I'll have to also cover that with string. But thank you for that comment, letting me know that was actually a thing you could do. But apart from the blaze rods, we also get some really nice loot from this as well. Of course we're farming wither skeletons, as it's on an intersection of a nether fortress. This is the intersection right here. And I have it marked out here. I think this can go up to 19 by 19 from the center of the intersection, is where wither skeletons are available to spawn. But the dimensions of this farm right now is just a 5 by 5. Since any larger than that would require multiple mob fans, and we're not rich enough for that yet. but I did mark it out just in case we have to expand it in the future. So yeah, let's take our now 6.5 stacks of blaze rods and move on to the next automations. Alright, so we've automated Lumium, we have automated the energetic alloy. For this thing we've automated steel and also grains of infinity. We should also do the stone gears, but we'll come back to those ones. We have also now just automated blaze rods and also wild wheat, which, at least for the empowered glod, just leaves the glod crystal itself, which is the atomic reconstructor automations. But before we do that, there is one more thing we have to farm. Well, more than one thing. The next thing we have to farm is slime. We need slime for the emeradic crystals, and I think the best way to get slime is to farm it in the farming station. So the plan here is to grow slimy trees, like you see on all of those slime islands over there, and this is how we're going to get our slime. However, I'm not really sure where to place this thing. There isn't really any space, and if we stack another one on top of this, I'm afraid the trees wouldn't grow, so maybe we plant it here instead of wheat, and then we'll move the wheat elsewhere. You know what, I think instead we're going to move all the trees to a new layer on the top here, and then we'll have wheat, and we have 3 other fields that are going to be free, just in case we need them. And you know what, this is also going to work out perfectly, as we're going to have space to farm cactus again. We used to be farming this in these farming stations, but I did take it out. Alright, so we now have, I guess, a 3rd or 4th layer to this farming area. But I noticed that we are completely out of power here. And we will definitely have to do something about our power situation soon, as we're still just running off these 2 diesel generators. But I was having a look at this thing. I think the issue is this capacitor does not output enough, as this power cell is staying full. And the diesel generators aren't running 100% uptime, so I think we do actually have enough power. It's just that we have to rewire this thing. As the farming stations are being powered by this wire here, we can instead just put a connector straight on this energy cube, and then we'll have a separate one for the capacitor. I guess it's fine where it was actually. Yeah, something like that. That should give enough power to the farming stations up there. And this means we'll also need a pneumatic for this farming station as well, so we'll make another prosperity one. And we'll also make it unbreakable by adding some reinforcement modifiers. Alright, so I think I got everything switched over here. We got all the trees on the top. We're now growing congealed slime blocks. So we have to actually add these to the drawer. We're going to get slime balls, purple slime, and also the saplings. And then on the layer that used to be trees, we're now growing wheat and also cactus. So do we have any space here? There's 1 free space. I guess we'll add the slime balls here. And then, you know what, I think we'll take away these stairs. It's a bit inefficient, and we can have drawers on the bottom instead. Yeah, we can add more drawers here for the saplings, and also the slime balls. Alright, well, apart from the fact that it could do with a bit more building work to finish off the walkways and the stairs and so on, I think we can call this good for now, and we now have cactus and slime. And our ingot wall continues to grow here. We need to add energetic silver, and also vivid alloy ingots. The vivid alloy is used as part of the empowered diamantine crystals. So I think all of these inputs are now automated, besides the platinum gear. But I think for this episode I'm still just going to batch craft these things. I think we're going to come back to platinum later on. Yeah, for right now I'm just going to keep putting nickel and cinnabar in our induction smelter here, and we'll just keep batch crafting this platinum. Alright, so I was thinking about what the next best thing to automate here is, and I think actually we're going to take a break from those empowered crystals, and we're going to work on some more infrastructure to be able to more easily set up some more machines. So for the ore processing setup, we're going to need to build a lot of machines, and I think in this pack we have to get into 5x ore processing. This is going to involve the mechanism machines, which are definitely not cheap. These take ender casings, which is a lot of machine frames. And we'll also need some alloy smelters and sag mills and so on from EnderIO. So next I would like an easier way to make these chassis. And a lot of this stuff we actually do already have automated, but one thing we don't have automated is RF powder. So with RF powder we also have to automate the GP powder, and I think we should start right here. And I think the best tool for this job is going to be the RF tools crafter. Alright, so for GP powder we need glowstone and redstone, which we're going to get, redstone from the ore processing, and glowstone we do still need to automate, but we're getting a little bit from our mob farm. And we also need crushed black quartz and diamond dust. So to make the 2 dusts, we're going to use 2 different crushers from Mechanism. Those are going to be output to 2 drawers above it. And this, I guess, will connect to this drawer network over here with this drawer controller. Oh no, I forgot to lock the drawers. Oh, we're not fast enough. Oh no. Okay, we got that one. Aha, got it. Nice. Alright, so this interface is full, so we're going to add a separate one next to this. And both of these crushers are going to take their input from the back and output to the top. The first one we're going to filter in diamonds, which we're running very, very low on. We need to be careful what we're doing here. And the second one we're going to crush black quartz. Alright, so those are crushing away. We need some muffling upgrades though. Alright, so I moved the crushers over a couple of blocks, and next we're going to insert into this crafter for GP powder. So for this recipe we want to set keep one of every item in the inventory slot, as it takes GP powder to craft GP powder, so we always want to have one of those in the input slots here. Then we're going to add our crushed dusts into this interface, and then we'll also add them to the filter on the insert of this crafter. So we want diamond dust, crushed quartz, redstone and glowstone. And we'll also block the rest of the slots just so it doesn't buffer too much in this crafter here. I think once we put in our GP powder it should start crafting more, which it does, and then we have to cycle this GP powder back in so that we have more than one in the input slot here. So to do that we can also just add GP powder to this filter. And we'll also add a drawer here, I think, for GP powder. I'll explain why I've left a space in a second though. But to get it inside that drawer we're going to extract on blue channel, and then we're going to insert into the drawer controller. And then once we add it into our interface, that should ensure that it keeps cycling through the crafter and keeps crafting us GP powder here. Yeah, this is always going to keep crafting. And in fact, maybe we should change this out with a limited item filter, because if we don't do that, it's going to buffer a full stack of GP powder inside this crafter, and I don't think we want to buffer that much in here anyway. I'd rather buffer it in the drawer. Yeah, we'll swap it out with a limited item filter, but we have to make sure we do 2 of each input item, since we have the keep one setting on this crafter. Alright, so that is GP powder. I guess now we do RF powder, which takes the GP powder. It takes bottles of enchanting, which we have automated over here. And it also takes this thermal conductor rod, which does have a durability on it. As you can see, it only has 800 uses on it. To make RF powder though, we also need bronze blend. And there is actually 2 different options for us here. I think the easiest one though is to just smelt or pulverize our bronze that we're making here. The alternative is to set up a crafter with pulverized copper and tin, but since we're not producing these passively, we are producing the ingot, it's better I think just to crush the ingot down and get the dust that way. So this is why we left the space for this bronze dust that's going to sit right here. And to solve the issue of the durability on this thermal conductor rod, we're going to use an auto anvil. And I believe this thing can use EXP to repair items. So conveniently we do have this fluid interface that we have somewhere around here. Yeah, we have this fluid interface pulling liquid XP from our mob farm. So what we're going to do is put this underneath our crafter and route the fluid into here. Just have to figure out what's going on here. We need fluid conduits here. I'm not sure if this connects to conduit though, it doesn't look like it does. We may need a buffer tank for this thing. Yeah, that seems to work, so I have a tank of EXP underneath, and then we're inserting via the conduit on the back. And that fills it up with XP for us. So now to configure the second one, I think we want this to use all of the input items and put everything in the external slots. And I think for the thermal conductor rod to be able to repair itself, we need to put mending on this thing. So now if we try to put it in the auto anvil, hopefully it's going to repair. I thought this would have worked. It looks like it doesn't though. We may need another repairing method here. Oh, so apparently the EnderIO tank actually works with this thing. We can just insert this conductor rod in. I don't actually know if it needs mending this way though, but I did put it in this slot and it seems to have repaired it. So now we have to figure out a way to cycle it into this tank and then back to the crafter. Alright, so I've been messing with this a bit and I think I've got this to work. So this thermal conductor rod is being cycled in and out of this XP tank to be repaired, and that way we never have to replace it. And the way I got this to work was I have 2 filters here for the thermal conductor rod. This is set to ignore metadata so that it ignores the durability on this thing. And on the insert of the tank, I have self-feed enabled on this extract, and then we have another filter for the thermal conductor rod. The RF powder settings are set so that the thermal conductor rod ends up in the output slot here, so that it can be extracted via this item conduit. And then I've added a drawer here for RF powder with the storage downgrade on there, and this is being inserted via the extract on this crafter back into the drawer controller. So yeah, it could do with some item conduit facades here to hide these 2 wires, but apart from that, I think we can call RF and GP powder automated. And unfortunately I did waste some open ingots on this auto repair anvil, but I'm sure we'll use it in the future. That, and we've run out of diamonds. We really need to do something about that. Alright, so taking another look at these machine chassis, we have a decent portion of these things automated now. We do still have to do the Enhanced Dye Blend. We have the Energized Dark Ingots and Grains of Infinity. We have to still also automate Seared Bricks, Tin Gears, and Machine Blocks, which is going to require Steel Casings and Stoneburnt. And the Steel Casings require Steel Rods, Plates, and the Energized Osmium. So I guess we'll start at the bottom with these Steel Casings. So to make this Energized Osmium, we have to use biodiesel. So I crafted up 2 fluid transposers here. To get biodiesel in here, we of course already produce it here at our farm. So I'm going to add a separate buffer tank for it. And we'll add a fluid storage bus on here. And you know, every time I come in this room, I really want to just redesign this whole area. And I think we will at some point. I'd really like to be able to hide these conduits. But that'll be for another day. We just have to plug this into our AE system. And then we can add in biodiesel to our fluid interface over here. Which I forgot to filter, so now we've got contaminated fluid transposers here. Alright, I added in a filter here for the extract on the liquid XP, and I fixed the filters for these things. And I've also filtered in the biodiesel to these 2 fluid transposers, and the reason we have 2 of these things is we also need biodiesel to create Certus Quartz, or Energized Certus Quartz. So we can add Osmium and also Certus Quartz to our interface. And then I've also filtered the inserts of the fluid transposer, so now we're making Energized Osmium and also Energized Certus Quartz. So these once again are going to get output to 2 more drawers with some storage downgrades, and we have 2 more resources fully automated. And this side of the wall is also coming along quite nicely here. So yeah, the other part of these steel casings is steel rods and plates. So for the rods in this pack, we only really have access to the metal press. But as I'm sure you're probably aware, this thing is very slow, and I don't really fancy automating this thing. Instead, I think we're just going to brute force and use the extra steel ingot to auto-craft this stuff. But I'm thinking for the rods that this is something that we'll just do on demand once we have Applied Energistics auto-crafting up. But to be able to do that, we need to set up our molecular assemblers and things, which is something I think we'll save for another day. However, the plates is something that we can fully automate and passive, and this we can do in the compactor. But I haven't really decided if we're going to do the steel plates passively or if we'll just do them on demand. So I think we'll move on and we'll tackle the next tier of machine block, which is the extra utilities one. We have the atomic alloy automated, we done that last episode, which leaves the Stoneburnt, and this requires the resonator with some polished stone, which requires GP powder and also stone. And this Stoneburnt is required in large enough quantities and is also fairly slow in the resonator, which is why I think we should set this up passively. So we're going to make a separate resonator for this. And we will also need a new interface for this. Oh man, these are still so expensive. So to set this up, let's make use of this extra space that we have. So we're first of all going to place our interface, and we're going to ask here for GP powder and also stone. These we're going to send into a formulaic assemblicator, and we're going to use limited item filter for the insert of the assemblicator. And then are these resonators sided machines? I don't remember if they accept input from the bottom. Oh, it does accept input from the bottom. Okay, so this Stoneburnt we're going to buffer in a drawer again, and I guess we'll use the item conduit on the side to extract. So yeah, I guess that's Stoneburnt automated. That was very easy. So now that we have the Stoneburnt, this is effectively the machine blocks automated. The next one after that is going to be machine frames. And the things we're missing for this is seared bricks and tin gears. So to set this up, we've got another formulaic assemblicator crafting as grout. This gets auto input into a smelter where it smelts into seared bricks, which just leaves the tin gears. And I think all the gears and the plates and the rods and things we're going to leave and just batch craft for today. So this now brings us on to all of these dye blends, and I think there's only 3 of these things. I hope there's only 3 of these things. But these things are definitely a more involved process to do here. So I think all of them take nether quartz dust and organic black dye. And then the basic one takes the green and crushed lapis. The soul one takes organic brown. And the last one takes grains of Piezallity. So I think the nether quartz dust we will end up getting from ore processing as when we sag mill the quartz ore, which I think is the most efficient way to process this. We get a chance at some nether quartz dust. So I don't think we'll be setting up a dedicated pulverizer for this thing. The lapis though, I think we will have to set up a separate crusher for this. And then all of the organic dyes have to be made in the alloy smelter. Okay, so we're going to need a fair amount of machines for this. I counted out 3 alloy smelters we're going to need. I think we need 1 crusher and we'll need 1 crafter as well. Actually, no, we'll use 3 formulaic assemblicators. It's going to be cheaper. So this time I think we're going to start with 3 drawers. And we'll work backwards here. So we're going to go right to left. And for these setups, we have also run out of interface slots here. So I've crafted another one. However, we are, I think, out of channels over here. Yeah, we're at 8 of 8 channels here, so I think we have to rewire some of this stuff. So instead of connecting these interfaces, which are for all of our, well, this is our ingot wall back here. Instead of having the connection over here, instead I think what we'll do is we'll take from the wire that should be right around here. And actually, rather than having the P2P connection here, I'm going to move it so that it's on the branch here. Then we'll keep this as a main line. So this is on frequency 5C0D. Also, yeah, ignore this by the way, this didn't happen. So yeah, we're going to move this P2P connection. And instead we'll put it right about here to hook this up to our interfaces. So now we have to look for the frequency 5C0D on these P2Ps. I wish there was an easier way to do this. I think it's this one though. Yeah, so we'll paste it on this one, which should link it to that P2P over there. And so now this frees up some more channels over here. Yeah, we still have another 3 to work with. And since we've now done this, to clean things up a bit more, I was actually piggybacking off of this interface, which we're grabbing our obsidian and diamonds for this setup on the other side of the wall. But I think instead what we're going to do is place an interface here, which is dedicated to this ingot wall, since it will get larger. So we'll have to add the redstone and these other things that we're using for these alloy smelters in this one instead. And that means that we can disconnect this one. And that way it just keeps the 2 sides of this wall separate. Alright, so I think I got it all put together here. This thing ended up being a bit more complex than I first thought. But the result is we're making the 3 industrial dyes. And we're also making grains of Piezallity here and pulsating crystals. However, we are out of diamonds. I also had to upgrade this crafter to the tier 2 to be able to have 3 different recipes in here, as the tier 1 can only hold 2 recipes. And I also had to add in another interface to be able to supply nether quartz and grains of Piezallity. So starting from the top, we have our 3 alloy smelters. One is for green dye, one is for organic black dye, and one is for organic brown. I also used to have these as pink slime balls, but I swapped out the drawer that was farming our congealed slime blocks into a compacting drawer so that we can have access to green slime. I think the slime blocks used to be in this one over here, but I did change that. And then over to the right here, we have a crusher for lapis and a smelter for cactus. The top row inserts the pulsating iron that we're making on our ingot wall and some diamonds that we don't have to give us pulsating crystals which get output to the drawer. And this, by the way, is connected with some framed trim up here so that it connects to this drawer network. The pulsating crystals then get sag milled into grains of Piezallity, and then everything goes into this crafter here where we're crafting the 3 different dye blends. And I also separated this drawer network on a separate drawer controller with a storage bus on here. So yeah, that's one more step in the process of making these machine frames and chassis. I'm not sure if it's necessary to buffer cactus green. Same with crushed lapis. I don't think it's necessary to buffer this stuff. I don't know if there's any other use for this. Oh, I guess we need mana powder though. Alright, I think we'll address that when we come to it. I've left enough space here to be able to buffer that. But yeah, apart from the diamonds and the conduit facades, I think we can call this another setup good to go. 2 slight optimizations I would like to make with this setup is to have some level emitters. So these assemblicators will craft up to 6 slots of output, and that is a lot of GP powder, and the diamonds we don't have. Same actually up here with the pulsating crystals. So what we're going to do is swap the insert for this assemblycator from the bottom, which means we can remove this conduit, and we'll set the filter in on the left hand side here. And that way we can squeeze in a flux cable and a level emitter. And this level emitter we're going to configure to diamonds. So the level emitter effectively checks the ME system, and if it's greater than the amount that you set, it will either emit or not emit a redstone signal, depending on if you invert it or not. So I think we'll start off with 64, and we will invert this. So what this will do is emit a redstone signal when we are below 64 diamonds in our ME system. And then on the assemblycator, we want this to only activate without a signal. Actually, does low count as no signal, or is it low strength? I'm not actually sure about that. Just to be safe, we're going to put it on high and then we will not invert this, so it's going to be the opposite basically. So that the assembler only works with a redstone signal. And then we can use some ME conduit just to plug this in. And that should help a little bit with our diamond shortage. When we get some more, this thing will not craft a billion Stoneburnt. And I'm going to do the same over here for the pulsating crystals. Although I believe we are now out of channels here. Yeah, we're at 8, so I'll take from this line, I guess. And the last thing I would like to do today is actually grab the painting machine. This machine is going to let us cover all of our conduits in the base. It does require a lot of conduit binder though, but this thing effectively only requires us to get coal and bitumen now, which we're getting from our builder, so conduit binder at this point is very easy to come by. Actually, I didn't check if the recipe's changed. Is it default? It is default, okay. And we still get 4 per facade. So yeah, we need to craft some of these facades. I'm going to make up half a stack at least. Actually, no, we'll do more than that. 56 should be fine. And then once we give it a capacitor and a block to effectively paint these facades with, it's going to give us conduit facades. I've been waiting for a long time for these things. So with these we can start to cover up all this mess here, and we can fill the same block space as the conduits. Look at that, already much better. And same with this side even. There we go, that's starting to look a bit more finished now. In fact, I think we'll swap this out with some stairs, just to keep it consistent with the other side. And we can fill in these holes that we made earlier. And one behind here as well, actually, behind the tank. There. And I guess we can do the same for our ingot wall, just to pretty this up a bit. Oh yeah, this place is starting to come together now. But with that, I think this is a good point to wrap up the episode. We didn't end up getting the dimensional transceiver in the end, but there's so much stuff that I got distracted with today. We made a lot of progress though. We got many different things. Oh. We got lots and lots of stuff automated today as well. Let's go check on our blaze farm. I wonder how many blaze rods we have. Just over 8 stacks of blaze rods. That's really not bad, considering the amount of time this has been running. And also the size of the farm. I mean, it is only a 5x5 farm. But yeah, that is going to do us for today. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you all tomorrow for some more automation in Divine Journey 2. Actually, one more thing before we go. This thing has to go. I don't know if this is better or worse. Alright, I need to clean this up.